We are very happy to have this exhibition on Foster and Partners working with history at Lenbachhaus because we can offer a vision about the future Lenbachhaus through this exhibition, mainly through examples you have realized in the past. Today I'm happy that you all came to join us and listen to Lord Foster's words. And I'm happy that this time we are showing not art at the walls, so you lean at the walls, which is quite unusual for an exhibition, but this time we can wash. Please. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, every time I come here, I'm reminded of what a great experience it was back in 2003 at the time of the competition to wander around and to see this extraordinary combination of a historic building, a painter who was beyond Munich but in a way synonymous with Munich in the sense of being the, how can I say, the kind of chronicler of the society here, but wider in terms of a kind of ambassador in that wider tradition, and somehow also contained within that, at the time that this man died, it coincided with the birth of this Blue Rider movement and Kandinsky, and I have to say that just going around the exhibition in that extraordinary hall, I've never seen anything like this before, which is kind of right integrated into the public transport system. I think it's an extraordinary synergy, and to see a major part of the collection here, together with the other two major contributors, the Pompidou and the Guggenheim, is absolutely mind-blowing. So all I can say is that to find ourselves in the same building as Kandinsky is a great honor.
Das Lenbachhaus ist in der Münchner Museumslandschaft ein besonderer Ort, weil es ein kleines Museum ist mit eher privatem Charakter. Es ist ja das Privathaus von Franz von Lenbach und heute noch geht man durch den historischen Privatgarten herein und hat eigentlich nicht das Gefühl, in ein Museum zu gehen, sondern mehr zu einem Freund, sich Bilder anzuschauen. Deswegen glauben wir, schätzen die Münchner dieses Haus sehr, hängen an ihm und ich denke, wir werden sehr genau beobachtet bei dem, was wir hier tun.
The concept is an understanding that the origins of the Lenbachhaus were about tens of thousands of people. And over time, it's now hundreds of thousands of people. So how do you add to it in such a way that you are still aware of the best and you don't change it, the intimacy, the domestic scale, which is very different from most projects. Our point is that each age has its own story, and if you add to it at another point in time, then it's important that it tells the story of its time. And in a way, that makes the historic more historic. Of course, in this approach, you make value judgments around what is historically, cultural, spatially, architecturally valuable, and you seek to improve the best qualities that exist in the process of adding to it. And in a way, that is a bit like the city in microcosm, because a city evolves with very, very few exceptions over time and is the richer for it. You asked me to talk just a little about the philosophy behind the work with historic buildings, and there are glimpses of those projects which are by their nature cultural. Of course, there are quite a few more which work with landmark listed buildings and are more in the commercial sector, like, for example, the recent Hearst Tower in New York. But I was explaining earlier in a television conversation that the work on sustainability in projects like the New York project have only really been possible by the extraordinarily supportive and sympathetic culture where there is a very, very genuine concern in this country about issues of ecology and sustainability. And I think that explains, it's not a coincidence, it explains why we've done more pioneering work on that theme in Germany than anywhere else. And that, in a way, has become a kind of export where clients and groups find themselves visiting these buildings here in Germany. That's a preoccupation that has been with us, really, for more than 40 years.
Nachhaltigkeit und Ökologie ist etwas, was uns über viele Projekte seit langer Zeit verfolgt und das wir sehr gerne verfolgen. In einem Museum sind die Möglichkeiten ein bisschen eingeschränkter. Hier versuchen wir vor allen Dingen die thermischen Massen des Gebäudes zu aktivieren mit Bauteilaktivierung, indem teilweise die Kühlung der Ausstellungsräume über die Wände erfolgt. Museen müssen aufgrund von Versicherungsbestimmungen klimatisiert werden, sodass man nicht das volle Arsenal, was man gerne machen möchte, an nachhaltigen und energiefreundlichen Technologien machen kann. Aber es wird einiges gemacht. Es wird auf Rückkühler zum Beispiel der Klimaanlage verzichtet, indem wir einen existierenden Schluckbrunnen benutzen. Und es sind diese kleinen Tricks und Tools, die man dabei benutzt.
There is a very significant difference between this project and all of the other projects that we might have touched on historic buildings, some of which are here, and that is the scale. And I think a very interesting challenge is the fact that how you respond to the hundreds of thousands, and yet you keep the DNA of the original building. So it still feels domestic, intimate, warm, and a sympathetic environment for those elements which are fixed and for the unknown still to come. So in a way, one part of it will be interpreted around the exhibition. The other part will be flexible to accommodate the exhibitions of work which over the next 50 years we can't imagine really what form of contemporary art will be taking place then. So I think there are very, very interesting challenges. And on the subject of work in progress, the development, for example, of the facades will occur over the coming months. And there are mock-ups which will be reviewed together and with the city. And very importantly, we keep the original entrance here, but we have a dialogue with a new entrance which works with it and which seeks to bring more life to the public space outside. So again, the connection between the semi-private world of this and the public world outside is also important. And congratulations also on the extraordinary, those great light billboards which signal this exhibition. I came in the taxi, I almost stopped the taxi driver and said, "Stop, I want to get out, I want to find out what it is." I hadn't got time, and then I arrive and find it's part of the thing. So it's a very pleasant surprise. There are lots of pleasant surprises, and thank you once again. Thank you.